Call to order for the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, Oakdale Planning Commission. Luke, you have the roll call, please.
Yes, Pearson. Willenbring. Here. Campbell is absent. Stolarski.
Here.
McCauley.
Here.
Tayada.
Here.
And Hagan is also absent.
Thank you very much. The Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for approval of the agenda, does anyone have any changes for it?
Move to approve.
Second? Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any changes to note for the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. They're approved as presented. We have an open forum right now. Open forum is a time when anyone in the audience can come forward to make comments, hopefully geared towards the agenda, but limit them to a few minutes, and if you could limit any repetitive nature to them, that'd be appreciated. But if anyone wishes to come forward to speak, please do. I'll offer once again, anyone wishing to come forward to speak for the open forum, please come forward. Seeing none, I close the open forum. Old business, the approval of the 2024 Planning Commission work plan. Luke?
So yes, recall that at the February Planning Commission meeting, there was a discussion with the City Council at that appreciation dinner where we talked about the work plan. No changes were made, or no changes were recommended at the appreciation dinner. And then the City Council also discussed the work plan at their February 13th workshop. They did not recommend any changes. And just a reminder that the work plan helps guide the commission with their work throughout the year, and state statute really defines your role. I don't think there's anything too surprising in that work plan in terms of what the expectations are, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Anyone have any questions? Does this one require an approval, so a vote is taken?
Yes.
This one? Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Motion passes as presented. Business, public hearing for May Lee, 4423 Helena Way North, on a conditional use permit for a home occupation hair salon. Luke, your report?
Thank you. Yes, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, the address of this property is 4423 Helena Way. Just for reference, this site is located north of the Willowbrook neighborhood. So Willowbrook is just off the map to the south. The zoning for this particular property is R4, that's mid-density residential, where home occupations are allowed through the conditional use permit process. So the purpose of this request is to enable the property owner to operate a residential salon within their house. So some details on this request. The homeowner will be the sole employee for the business. They will be serving 1 to 2 customers per day. Hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. and this is by appointment only. Reportedly, there's enough off-street parking for up to 6 vehicles on the property. And I'll just walk through some of the details here on the screen. I know it's very difficult to see just based on the size of the image there. But the top image is the main floor of the house. So customers would walk through the main entrance, and then there's the staircase where my cursor is. And then moving to the bottom image here, bottom left-hand image, that's the basement where the operations will actually occur. So here's that staircase. There's a reception area here, and then the actual salon where the cursor is. There's a dedicated bathroom and then a storage area. In the bottom right-hand corner is, as you can see, a street view of the property. And as you can see, there's what appears to be sufficient room for parking, making sure that vehicles are not obstructing the street. So staff finds that this conditional use permit request meets the city's zoning review criteria as detailed in the staff report on file. And just to summarize some key points, The use appears in compliance with the city's zoning regulations. The use should not impact nearby property or cause environmental problems. The use will be adequately served by public services. The applicant must obtain a valid license with the Minnesota Board of Cosmetology. Hours of operations will also be limited. So staff recommends approval of this request subject to certain conditions being met, and I will summarize those. So if you're following along in the packet, this is on page 17, so the resolution. Bear with me, there's 6 conditions here. The first one is that hours of operation for the use shall be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sunday through Saturday. Parking for the use shall be conducted in a manner that does not obstruct the right-of-way. Number 3, no more than 1 outside worker shall be employed for the use. Number 4, all signage must comply with the city's ordinance requirements. Number 5, the applicant shall maintain a valid license with the State Board of Cosmetology. And number 6, the applicant shall meet all regulations set by the State Board of Cosmetology for residential salons. Just a reminder, this is a public hearing. I believe the applicant is here in attendance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Luke?
How does the city plan to keep up on their license to make sure it's current? Are we going to require them to submit it every year?
Currently, we don't have a process for that in terms of just making sure, but I mean, if they're out of compliance with the State Board of Cosmetology, we would look to the state to enforce that. I mean, we just simply don't have the capacity to kind of cross-check everything with the state. Yes.
The question I'm assuming this is a residential neighborhood, right?
Correct. Yes.
So can customers walk in? Is it by appointment?
So as stated in the applicant's narrative, it's by appointment only. Okay. So, and I would also defer to the applicant in terms of how the operations actually look like.
No, that'd be good because if I drove in, apparently they're allowed to have signage, right? That says this is the operation.
Yes.
Can somebody just driving by look at it and just kind of walk and say, "Can I walk in?" Or would they be turned down to say, "Call this number and make an appointment"? Type.
Well, yeah. Just given the capacity, there's only the 1 employee, very minimal service, 1 to 2 customers per day. I would think that this would be very much appointment driven. But again, I would look to the applicant for some more detail.
Thank you.
As a side note, I don't think you put any comments about the signage in the report, but the signage is a fairly small sign that can go on the side of the house, or is it on the?
Mr. Chair, it's completely up to the applicant in terms of the location, but they would just have to meet the size requirements of the signage that's listed in the ordinance. So.
Any other questions for Luke? I'll open the public forum where the applicant may come forward if they wish to make comment. Would the applicant like to come forward and make any comments?
We have no comments. No.
No? Okay.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to make any comments before we close the public forum? Okay, close the public forum, bring it back to the commission for discussion, and none, then I would call for a vote.
I have a follow-up. If the business is intended for people that call in by appointment, why would the sign be necessary?
So, Commissioner, there's really no requirement that the applicant even have signage there. So it's totally at their discretion. If they want the signage, they just need to make sure that they're in compliance with the city ordinance.
Okay. Thank you.
Mike?
Is there a requirement how many people can come per day? She's saying 1 to 2 people a day, but say there's 20. Does that matter?
It's a one-person shop.
No, I get that. No, I truly get that, but there's no requirement stating how many or how little. Is that correct?
No, the only requirements that we have is the home occupation is restricted to 1 up to 1 outside employee. So I guess however many people they can,
Fit with 2 people,
up to 2 employees,
up to 2 employees. Okay.
I suppose if they can provide services to 20 people a day, that's pretty impressive.
Well, between 8 and 2 and 4 and 8, and on Saturdays and Sundays.
With two seats.
Yeah, with
They're
2
only
seats.
having 2 chairs.
Yeah. Well, if they're cutting my hair, it's not bad, You don't have to laugh at
Anyone
that.
else have any questions or comments?
No.
Then I would ask for a motion to,
I will make a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use permit for a home occupation hair salon at 4423 Helena Way North.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next is a public hearing for Don Henrichs, 4030 Granada Avenue North, on a conditional use permit for a second garage. Luke?
Thank you. So the location of this site is, it's a property at the northwest quadrant of Granada Avenue and 40th Street. So it's difficult to see here on the property, but there are actually 2 accesses to the site. So there's one off 40th and then there's one off Granada. The purpose of this request is to allow a second detached garage on the property. The zoning for this site is R2, that's low-density housing, where a second garage may be allowed through the conditional use permit process. And just for reference, this is, the property is just under 2 acres in size. Some details here on the request. The applicant, again, is proposing a second detached garage, not to exceed 1,000 square feet in size. And I'll just walk you through this image here. Again, this one's a little difficult to see on the screen, but where my cursor is, that's the house. Well, I should back up. Here's 40th Street, just on the south side, and then on the east side of the property is Granada. But so there's the existing dwelling. There is an existing detached garage here where my cursor is. The applicant indicated that this structure is no longer there, which was closer to the Granada Avenue side. And then the proposed garage is where my cursor is here, closer to 40th Street. So staff finds that this conditional use permit request meets the city's zoning review criteria as detailed in the staff report. And again, I just want to summarize some key points here. The use appears to be in compliance with the city's zoning regulation. The use should not impact nearby property or cause environmental issues. The use will be adequately served by public services. The structure will not be pole barn type construction as stated in the narrative by the applicant. And the use will be residential in nature, and no commercial or industrial activities are stated to occur within that structure. So staff recommends approval of this request subject to 3 conditions in the resolution. So if you're following along in the packet, I'm on page 25. So the first condition is that the garage shall meet setback and height requirements. Just for reference, along 40th Street, that structure just needs to be a minimum of 30 feet away from that front property line. Number 2, the garage shall not exceed 1,000 square feet. And then 3, a building permit must be obtained for the use. And again, this is another public hearing item. The applicant is here in attendance if you have questions, and I'd be happy to answer questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Does anyone have any questions for Luke?
Question. This is at the northeast corner, Granada?
North-
40th?
Northwest quadrant, northwest corner, yes.
I'm on Granada, kind of close to that property. I think it's a very nice property. I like it. Yeah. I ride my bike by it most of the time. Yeah.
Any other questions? Then I'll open the public forum on the public hearing for Don Henrichs, 4030 Granada Avenue North, conditional use permit. Is anyone in the audience who wishes to come forth to speak? I do have a couple of questions for the applicant. Based on the fact that I drove by, there are 2 existing buildings that Luke didn't mention in his report. One's on the diagram. It's a small building at the north edge. There's also another small one that I'm guessing you're going to have to take out when you put in this garage. If you could come forward to speak at the microphone, please. And state your name and address. even though we
Don
know it.
Henrichs, 4030 Granada Avenue. I believe the location of the garage we're looking to put up will be closer to Granada, so the smaller building that I think you're talking about wouldn't need to be removed.
It's right, the one that's right behind a clump of trees.
Right.
Three or four trees.
Yeah, Yeah, there's, a few pine trees and a couple, maybe an oak or two there, but that one should be out of the way by several feet. If that's, so, I mean, the other one will be closer to the street after, just kind of surveying it myself, measuring and stuff.
Okay. So it'll be right out, just off the street, like,
Yeah, it'll be closer to 40th.
okay.
So there's how many outbuildings there?
There will be four detached buildings beside the
So
house.
isn't there an ordinance against, we can only have like 2 at the most?
So the ordinance is that you can have a garage, just one garage that's either attached or detached, and then you get a one accessory structure up to, it really depends on the zoning district, so it could be, it's like up to 200 square feet, for example, for an accessory structure, but anything beyond that would require a CUP. In this case, we looked back at some aerial photos. That structure that the chair is referencing, that's been there for years, so we just don't have record of how that got approved. So, and just to be clear, it is separate from this request. We could address it through another mechanism, but this would not be the mechanism to do so.
Yeah, I more just wanted to have it recorded that there was it existing, so that in the future it wouldn't necessarily be required to be torn down. Anyone else have any questions?
Just curiosity. There used to be a camper that would park there, like a silver camper.
I'm sorry.
Did you just buy the house?
In September, yes.
Okay, so, yeah, okay. There used to be a camper that would park in the driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an old looking camper, but it's very nice.
Okay.
Yeah, but for some time it disappeared. So maybe that's when you bought it.
I don't know. Kevin had it. Kevin did? Okay.
Okay, all right. Never mind. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Anyone else in the audience? Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
No, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience who wishes to make comment on this issue? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the commission. Any final comments? Then I would ask for
I will make a motion to recommend approval of the conditional use permit for an additional garage at 4030 Granada Avenue North.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes then. Thank you very much. Any staff liaison reports?
Just a few updates. So for the April Planning Commission meeting, we have one conditional use permit on file, and then we have some trainings lined up. The first training will be for Robert's Rules, and then a more Planning Commission specific training held by, or hosted by Stantec, the one that we received roughly about 2 years ago or so. So those trainings are coming next month. May 7th, hold that date. That's when we plan to host our development bus tour. And that's where we drive around the city, showcasing some of the new projects and being able to actually get eyes on some of those sites. And then July, Planning Commission meeting. That we're planning on moving that date to the 11th due to the holiday, if that's acceptable to the commission. So it'd be the week after when we would typically meet.
Mail in that's in May?
I take it July 4th is on the Thursday.
July 4th is
It's a Thursday, yes.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
First Thursday of the month.
A question.
I can't plan that far ahead.
Are those mandatory training?
You know, certainly as a city, we would like you to attend. I mean, that's, resources, money spent for the trainers, and then just the expectation that you'll also be here at the April Planning Commission meeting. But if you have a conflict, maybe there's something that staff could do to try to get the trainings if you're unable to attend that meeting. So.
Thank you.
Any questions from
No.
his report? Anybody have any commissioner updates?
No.
Moving on to council liaison. Mayor Zabel, do you have any comments for us?
I certainly do. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm filling in for Councilmember Ingebrigtsen tonight. As far as I know, he's at the hockey tournament, so lucky him. So, yeah, just a couple updates from the City Council. Obviously, development is robust in Oakdale right now. In the Willowbrook neighborhood, some things of note. You've probably seen the Roars development going up on the corner of 694 and 40th Street. It's the apartment building and the townhomes. The city council joined members of the chamber and the developers last January and broke ground on that. And they have tenants or people moving in, new residents in Oakdale. So they moved at lightning speed, and we're very excited to welcome those new residents to our community. If anybody's interested, that neighborhood that property is called the Espen Residences. So I believe they have a little more work to do on the apartments, but I can't imagine that's going to take much time at all. So we also found out that Aldi and Starbucks have pulled their building permits, so they will be breaking ground on those two new businesses next month, I believe. So they will be going in just north of County 14, south of the Forefront campus. So we look forward to welcoming them to Oakdale as well. Last little tidbit for the Willowbrook neighborhood. At our next city council meeting, we'll be approving the construction contract for the Central Park in the Willowbrook neighborhood. So we know that's been kind of a long process. We worked very hard to get community feedback on the amenities that are going into that park. And so all the pieces are falling into place, and we're ready to sign the last contract and get that work done. And the timeline looks like it'll be open yet this year, so later this year. So that'll be exciting. One last tidbit of information. If you've driven up Granada Avenue, south of County 14 lately, you've probably seen a lot of activity at what will be the new Public Works campus site. So 32nd Street in Granada. The city council approved the tree variance for 3M, so they got the trees cleared out on that site, and now they're working on soil remediation. So they are working in earnest, and the city anticipates we'll be doing a groundbreaking there either this spring or early summer. So the Public Works campus project is moving forward, and we're excited to see that happening. So that's about it. A lot of development. Oh, I should say the last thing I'll note is the 4th Street Bridge is gone. So the Gold Line BRT project took down the old 4th Street Bridge about a week or two ago, and crews are out there working on getting the new bridge up, which we expect will be up at the end of this year. So it'll be nice to get that connection back open in our community, but definitely a new bridge was needed, including a bridge with dedicated pedestrian space. So people will no longer have to walk in the road, which is always a good thing. So we are excited to get that open as well. Lots happening. But I am happy to answer any questions.
Well, the only question I've got is, when they took down the bridge, they closed the highway for 2 weekends. Do you happen to know, have they made any comments about what's going to happen during the building of it? Will they be closing it during that?
If it's anything like the Helmo-Bielenberg Bridge, I'm guessing a lot of the pieces will be assembled off-site, and then we'll probably have a weekend closure, and they'll just kind of slide it into place. That seems to be the model that MnDOT uses these days to limit disruptions. So we're hoping that is definitely the plan of attack for 4th Street. Also, it's a smaller bridge than the Helmo-Bielenberg one was. So hopefully the disruptions are kept to a minimum, but I think residents should expect that there will be, intermittent weekend closures.
Any questions for Mayor Zabel?
What's the timeline to get streetlights in on 4th and Helmo? You heading to the bridge, you drive through that at night, and it's with the construction cones up and no lights. It's sort of a scary mess.
It can be, yeah. So it all depends on where, so the bridge is owned, I believe it's currently owned by MnDOT. I think they're trying to get counties to take control of it. I think counties want to look at Woodbury to take some control of it.
Mainly the street on our side.
Yeah.
From the building, from the building up to 4th Avenue, that's dark in there.
To 4th Street, yeah. My best guess would be that we probably won't be putting streetlights in until that development is completed around there. So I know Impact Apartments, or Norhart is the developer of the current high-rise down there. They have the parcel to the south. I think they're still doing a little bit to the east. I'm looking at Luke there. So they're working a lot there. And then there's 2 more parcels, I believe, going north that will be developed. So, the city will wait to do trail infrastructure and lighting until those construction crews have kind of cleared out. So a little bit of time yet, but
Beware.
yes. Mike, did you have something? Okay.
Any other questions?
Right. Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
very much, Mayor Zabel. I would request adjournment then.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.